Well, are you looking to buy property? Michelle May is principal of Michelle May Buyers Agents, and she says maybe pass on the advice from family and friends. Michelle joins me live now. Hey, Michelle.
Hi, how are you, Alana?
Very well. Look, I feel like the property market, this is something, it's almost becoming like the weather. Everyone's got opinions on it. Buy now, do it later. You know, how do we know who to listen to?
Well, let me tell you who not to take advice from, and that would be your best friend's hairdresser, second cousin removed, or even your dad, because you really have to think about a number of things. First of all, a lot of them will try and give you their best advice, but where is it actually coming from? Where are they getting this information from? And that's, of course, mostly the media and perhaps their own limited experience. So the media, unfortunately, sells papers on headlines. I'm in the market 24/7, and by the time things get reported, things on the ground may be very, very different. The other thing that people don't really consider is that it's a long-term game. So, when you're buying a property, you want to make sure that you stay within that property for at least 5 years, because the cost of getting in and out are huge. It doesn't matter what price bracket you're in. It's a huge amount of tax. When it comes to selling, again, you've got the sales agent, possibly a buyer's agent. So if you are thinking about those costs, you've got to make sure that you really, rather than time the market, think about the right property for you to buy.
And it's changed so much, and it is continually changing, but particularly over the last 12 months, we've really seen a shift in different capital cities. I mean, you look at the rental market over in Perth, you cannot get a rental, you cannot basically get a house, whereas you look at Melbourne, and obviously we're missing a lot of international students and people like that, so there's huge vacancies, so you really need to do your homework, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the best person to trust is yourself and your own data, and perhaps a professional in that respect, someone who has your best interest at heart. So when it comes to research, you really do have to understand that within Australia, there are so many smaller micro markets, so that even in the capital cities, inner west suburbs, for example, or outer east suburbs, or even neighboring suburbs can act quite differently from one another. So what can be, a very hot market in one suburb, you might find that you get a much better return in the other one next door to it. And they may be due because of infrastructure projects or development things. They may be thinking about increasing the density. So you've really got to do your research. And if you've made a short list of areas that you want to be in, look into them and deep dive into them to really understand what's going on in that particular market.
And what about if you see a bargain? Because I think a lot of people go, oh my God, it's a steal, and then they want to move quicker than they normally would. What's your advice to those people?
I would say move quicker, but in the other direction, because a bargain are typically the ones that you don't want to buy. Right. I'm seeing a lot of properties that didn't sell last year or in 2019 even coming on the market because they didn't sell then, but they most certainly will sell now because of that huge FOMO that's going on. But what you need to look at is, if it's too easy to buy at the moment, you really need to do your research even more so, because there is an issue with that property. It is still possible to buy well, but the bargains you need to walk away from, because they will be, compromised in one way or another. So look at infrastructure projects, look at, look at, is it on a main road? Because ultimately, the one thing that you need to do is not compromise on the quality of the location, because that will give you longevity in the property.
Well, such amazing advice, Michelle. Always a pleasure to catch up with you and get your insight on the real estate market. Thanks for joining us on the program.
My pleasure.